She had come for a simple dinner, but within minutes, everything changed. The waiter thought he could humiliate her without consequences until he realized who she really was. Sometimes, it's not the words that hurt the most, but the look, the tone, the way you're treated as if you don't exist. That evening, Naomi Carter just wanted to enjoy a nice dinner after an exhausting day. As a lawyer specializing in discrimination cases, she spent her days defending those who were too easily dismissed. But tonight, she wasn't in a courtroom. She was a customer, a woman who simply wanted to enjoy a meal at one of the most prestigious restaurants in the city. The moment she stepped through the doors of Blue Velvet, she immediately felt the weight of the stairs. She knew this feeling well. A subtle coldness, imperceptible to those who had never experienced it, but very real. She approached the reception desk where a perfectly dressed host scrutinized her for a second too long before forcing a smile. "Good evening, I have a reservation under the name Carter." The man scanned the reservation list, hesitated, then nodded. "Yes. Follow me." Naomi walked behind him with confidence. But instead of leading her into the main dining area, under the crystal chandeliers, he took her to a table in a secluded corner near the kitchens, far from the elegance and prestige of the restaurant. "Excuse me, but I had requested a table in the main dining room." The host shrugged. "This is all we have available tonight." Naomi glanced around the room. Several tables were clearly open, all occupied by white customers. She took a deep breath and sat down anyway. A few moments later, a tall waiter with a disdainful look approached. "Do you need something?" he asked, not even bothering to take out his notepad. Naomi raised an eyebrow. "A menu, for starters." The waiter let out a dry chuckle. "Are you sure you can afford it?" The conversations around her came to an abrupt halt. A wave of murmurs spread through the dining room. Naomi remained silent for a moment, studying the man standing before her, so sure of his impunity. "I'd like to speak to your manager." The waiter burst out laughing. "You think they'll fire an employee over a customer who probably won't ever come back?" Naomi didn't answer. Slowly, she pulled out her phone and dialed a number. The waiter crossed his arms, amused. "Who are you calling?" "The police." She raised the phone to her ear, her tone colder than ever. "No, the owner of the restaurant." A heavy silence fell over the restaurant. The waiter lost his arrogance in an instant. One single ring. "Naomi, what a pleasure. How is my best lawyer doing?" The waiter turned pale, realizing he had just made an irreparable mistake. "Good evening, Thomas. I'm currently at Blue Velvet, your restaurant, where I was just humiliated. I was seated near the kitchen while empty tables are available all around, and your waiter insinuated that I couldn't afford to eat here." On the other end of the line, Thomas Sinclair, the restaurant's owner, fell silent. Then, in a voice cold as steel, "I'm on my way." Naomi hung up and slowly placed her phone on the table. The tension in the room was palpable. The waiter stood frozen in place, unsure where to look, his confidence completely shattered. 10 minutes later, the restaurant doors burst open. Thomas Sinclair, his suit impeccable, his expression dark, swept his gaze across the room before striding directly toward Naomi. Then he turned to the waiter. "Who is responsible for this?" The host immediately stepped back and pointed at the waiter without hesitation. The waiter, now as white as a sheet, scrambled to explain. "And Mr. Sinclair, I didn't know who she was, ****. Thomas took a slow step forward, his gaze piercing. "Oh, so if she wasn't my friend, this behavior would be acceptable?" The waiter opened his mouth, but no words came out. "Give me your apron." "Sir, please wait. Now." Trembling, the man untied his apron, his hands shaking, while the other customers whispered in shock. The host placed a firm hand on the waiter's shoulder and escorted him toward the exit. Thomas then turned to Naomi, his face filled with sincere regret. "Naomi, I am deeply sorry. This kind of behavior is unacceptable, and I refuse to let my restaurant become a place of discrimination." He gestured to a much more professional waiter. "Take Miss Carter to the best table in the restaurant and serve her the finest meal we have. Tonight, everything is on the house." Naomi was escorted to a prime spot under the sparkling chandeliers, now at the center of attention. As she settled in, she could feel the fascinated stares of the other diners. The message was clear. Respect is not something you ask for. It's something you command, asterisk asterisk. But beyond this icy revenge, a deeper truth became evident. This wasn't just about her. This kind of humiliation happened every day to thousands of people who didn't have her influence to fight back. Tonight, she had used her power to stand up for herself. But how many others continued to suffer in silence? Respect should never depend on social status or connections. It should be a standard, not a privilege, asterisk asterisk. That waiter lost his job, not because he gave bad service, but because he judged someone based on their appearance. And that was a lesson he would never forget. What do you think? Did Naomi do the right thing by standing up for herself? Have you ever witnessed a similar injustice? Share your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe to Not Just Stories for more powerful narratives, because these aren't just stories. They're realities too many people choose to ignore.